Josh Smith in particular, this is something that we've wanted to talk about for a while. Luckily, and this is a really cool thing for Josh Smith. It didn't feel as time sensitive. You know, like there obviously in years past, you might have been like, hey, we need to get to that Josh Smith story just in case, like, you know, he got sent down to the minors or whatever. That's no longer a thought that's even crossing anybody's mind. So we have the opportunity to kind of hold this for about a week or so. But do you guys envision Josh Smith once again being the ultimate utility player, not only because of his versatility, but because, like Boch has told us in the past, his bat will necessitate him staying in the lineup?
He is he can play every position, not the best. Like I would probably say
that's fair.
Duran might be better suited for left field than him.
He's had a tough spring, but yeah.
But again, whenever your bat is Josh Smith type and it's consistent, you're on base, you give yourself opportunities to run the bases and score, coaches find reasons to put you on the field.
Yeah.
And they will continue to do that. And the way that this isn't just a bunch of guys that are all Wyatt Langford's age. There are a bunch of guys on this team that are older and should need some time. I know Marcus Semien wants to play every day, but you don't have to.
Sure.
This is very much what's going on with Tom Thibodeau in New York, and Bridges is like, hey, dude, we don't have to play all the minutes. And he's like, but I want to win. And he's like, no, our team's deep enough that we can win while that's happening.
Do you think Thibodeau's like, have you ever seen my coaching career?
Exactly. Probably. Yeah.
This is what I do.
I wear down my players until the playoffs, and then they're dead by the time they get there, and that's why we can't go any further. But with Josh Smith, because he can play lots of positions, he's a good defender. We saw multiple plays at third base last year, and then he's got a little pop, not a lot, but he was opportunistic with some of his home runs last year, but the biggest part was he just kept getting on base. So today Adolis needs a day off. I'm going to put him at designated hitter, and I'm going to put Josh Smith out in right field. Again, you have lots of other outfielders you can use, but it's your super utility fielder. And Kevin, there were times in the World Series back in 10 and 11 where we were throwing up, like Herman was going up to the plate, and you're like, really, this guy?
Yeah.
I feel a lot more comfortable if I have to pinch hit or pinch run a Josh Smith. Early in Josh Smith's career, he had some blunders on the bases, but he's grown and he's gotten better since then. He's becoming a better player. I don't know, though. My big question is, will he ever be a starter? Can he be a starter for another team and be even more successful? Because if he's a career utility guy, they don't make much money, and it feels like he's going to want more than that. But for this year alone, this is a really good opportunity for him.
See, I've been trying to figure that out, because what position would you go at? Because I don't think he would go at DH, even though he had a hell of a year last year. Maybe not the pop that you're necessarily looking for from your DH. And you talked about how he's such a great player to have on the roster because he is so either competent to above average at multiple positions. But I don't know how many of those positions where you would be like, that's going to be our guy every day.
One of the other things, too, Kevin, when we were talking about Dane Dunning earlier.
He kind of reminds me of Dane Dunning a little bit.
Dane Dunning told us legitimately, wherever Boch needs me, wherever Mad Dog wants me. By the way, Mad Dog is Mike Maddox. Wherever they want me, I'll be. If they want me to start, bullpen, close, whatever it is, I'll do it. And Josh Smith's the same way. And somebody texted in, I really thought this was a very smart text. Thank you, texters, for being smart. They said the culture that Bochy and Chris Young have built is the reason Dane Dunning will do anything. And he's right. Or whoever texted that is definitely right. The whole mentality is win today's game. Bochy's told us that every time. I'm trying to figure out how to win today's game. And if it takes me moving Corey Seager to this in order to make that happen, I'll do it.
Right.
Whatever it takes to win the game. And the whole mentality percolates throughout the entire clubhouse. All of those guys are willing to sacrifice a little bit of this so that they can carry that trophy at the end of the season. That's what they really want ultimately. So that's why you see guys like Josh Smith fit in and stick around and be part of it because they're good enough, but they also fit a role.
Now, one good bit of information about Josh Smith, too, is you can have him around for several more years if you want. He's only about to go into arbitration next year. So if you're like, this is the guy that we need that really like clicks the roster all together, you can absolutely keep him here for 4 more seasons at relatively little cost.
4 more years.
Now to go, don't drag me into that. I've had enough problems on this show today.
You have.
To go along with that, playoff teams from last season that you don't think will make it in again this season.
Ooh.
Now, because I know we always focus on like the NFL and the turnover rate that they consistently have year over year in terms of teams no longer making the playoffs and new teams coming up and everything like that. But I wanted to take a look at that from a baseball perspective. Is there a playoff team from last year that you're like, I don't know if I see it?
Well, definitely not the Rangers, Kevin, because the Rangers
they didn't make the
playoffs last year.
I just assumed you'd go right to the
Dodgers.
Astros.
Oh, yeah.
Look, if the Dodgers don't make the playoffs, that Last Dance multi-part documentary about them is going to be amazingly fascinating to watch.
I absolutely. The Astros are, Altuve's in outfield playing left maybe. Like they're kind of reconfiguring what that franchise is. So I could definitely see. The thing about it is it's tough to find anybody else in the AL West because it feels like Detroit is taking a step up this year. It feels like Kansas City's right back in the mix. New York,
Cleveland's probably to fall then?
Maybe so. New York's interesting because of Garrett Cole, and that dude's gone. So now you're relying heavily on Rodon and some other guys to do their job.
And you're trying to figure out how far the Yankees fell. For some people, they were the favorite to win the AL. And now without that, like, how far do you fall? Do you fall into, you'll still make the playoffs? Or are you like, nope, not going to make the playoffs whatsoever?
And that division with Baltimore is, that's a battle. That is a battle of a division, and Boston's even much better than this year. But Baltimore could be a team that, because of the division, ends up struggling. I think they're going to win plenty of games. They're a young team with lots of talent. But they also, Kevin, are at a point where it's not like San Francisco, but they got to be hitting their heads up against the wall going, what else do we have to do? Every time we get to the playoffs, we fall apart. So I wonder if just getting to the playoffs is something that's starting to get in their head. Maybe the Brewers. Maybe the Brewers might be a team that I could see falling out there.
Okay.
In the National League. So
This is for all of baseball. You're good. So CBS Sports rolled it out like this: the Houston Astros, 5th most likely, followed by the San Diego Padres. Look, I know inherently
they lost a lot.
Yeah, and that division's going to be really tough.
Good
and
division.
If you think Arizona is going to continue to ascend with Corbin Carroll and the bunch, then we go to the Cleveland Guardians. That's one of the reasons I was asking specifically about the AL Central. If you think that it looks like the Tigers have gotten better, and if you think it looks like the Kansas City Royals have gotten better, or you think Bobby Witt Jr. is ready to officially take that next step and take over Major League Baseball, I wonder if Cleveland would be one of those teams that would fall by the wayside. But the top 2 teams most likely to miss the playoffs after making it last year, CBS sticks in the American League, and they're going full haterade on the Kansas City Royals. They say, I disagree, Cory. They do not think the Royals are going to make it. But the number 1 team is the Detroit Tigers.
Dude, somebody just texted in and said Detroit will miss the playoffs.
And the fascinating thing about that to me is CBS has Detroit, Kansas City, and Cleveland as the top 3 options. I know it's not because they're high on the White Sox. Is it because they're high on the Twins, or they're like, hey, all 3 of those teams made it, and I think you can count out at least 2 of the 3 making it this season? Not entirely sure.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is either. AJ Hinch knows how to coach baseball, though. So
and to get suspended.
That too, yeah.